All right, gentlemen. So I do want to let you know that this interview is being recorded for training purposes. So you'll see like the microphone and things like that. So
Okay.
don't worry about that. Let me just get this on over here. Of course, it's going to be really difficult. All right, we'll just put it in the pocket. Okay. So during this section, I'm going to be going through the full position description. I just want to formally introduce myself. My name is Brian Scuderi. I'm the district manager. I've owned and operated this office since May of 2016. I wasn't always a district manager though. In fact, I started with the company 7.5 years ago. My friend told me about the job. So very similarly to you two, I heard about this job through a friend, and I had no idea that he was even working here. He just kind of randomly called me one day. He was like, "Hey dude, we're expanding for the summertime. Do you want to come in and check it out?" And I heard the $18 base, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go check that out. You know, the only jobs that I had ever had before this were like working at ShopRite. And I'm 6'3", so it's like a pretty big deal in the grocery clerk industry, but I was just looking for a way to make a little bit more money. I always kind of felt like I was paid on Friday and broke by Monday. I don't know if you guys can relate. So I was just looking for a way to make some extra money for like root beer and pizza on the weekends while I was away at school. Now, my original intention was just to work part-time around my hours at ShopRite. I was on my summer break, and what ended up happening was I earned more money working here part-time than I did working full-time at ShopRite.
Oh, wow.
So I quit my job at ShopRite and just worked part-time during the semester and full-time during my breaks. And because we only promote from within, I eventually became an assistant manager, then a sales manager, and then they promoted me to district manager in 2016. We've done $2 million in sales since I've been here, and I'll cover a little bit more about our office here in a second, but we were the #1 office in the nation last year. And I don't say that to impress you, just to impress upon you that if you are accepted, you will be joining one of the top sales teams in the company. So we'll talk a little bit more about our office. I'll talk about Cutco and Vector as a corporation. Then we'll talk about our products. I'll show you, how we market to our customers, how we pay our representatives. Unless you just want me to skip over the pay, you don't care about that. I'm just kidding, right? I'm just kidding. And then training and perks, okay? So as you can see, we like to have fun here, and I do want to make the interview enjoyable, and it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes for me to explain the position in full detail.
Okay.
Over the course of that time, there's probably some questions that you have. Chances are I'll answer them. If I don't, just go ahead and hold on to them and ask me one-on-one in the third portion of the interview, please. Okay? Just that way this goes nice and smoothly.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit more about our office. So last year, like I said, we were in the #1 office in the nation in 2017. This year, we're up 24% over last year, so you see we're at almost $800,000 in sales. Last year, I coached one of the best representatives in the company, Jafet Rivera, who was #9 in the nation, and in 2018, number 31 in the nation was Joe Argento, who also came out of our office. And typically, it's very normal for sales campaign to sales campaign that top representatives, just like Zach Cornstrom, Joe Argento, Andrew Hollander, to be in the top 10 or in the top 50 in the company. Now, I have 3 laws in my office. I don't necessarily have rules because I feel like people like to break the rules, but nobody wants to break the law.
Right.
So the first law is no negativity. And if I don't want negative people, what type of people do I want, Aquil?
Energetic people, positive people,
Yeah, positive people. Exactly.
Positive energy, yeah.
Exactly. I think everyone wants to work in a positive environment.
Right.
Law number 2 is do your best. So if you are accepted onto the team, I just expect that your best foot gets put forward, whether it's for the 15-hour week shift, the 25-hour week shift, or a 40-hour week shift. I just expect the best effort. And of course, have fun. It's kind of hard not to have a good time and work with like 25 or 30 other high school and college students. So let's talk a little about our company. Cutco was established in 1949, and Vector Marketing was established in 1981 out of Philadelphia as a wholly owned subsidiary of Cutco. Cutco manufactures the products. Vector Marketing sells it, but Cutco owns Vector. Now, our team name is the Elite Student Marketing District, and Elite Student Marketing is contracted by Vector to sell Cutco's products. Now, Vector Marketing does over $200 million in sales each year, our first $200 million year being 2008. Now, who could tell me what happened in 2008 in terms of the economy?
We were in a recession.
Yeah, it was labeled the worst recession since the Great Depression.
Right.
Vector Marketing grew $42 million in sales that year. So what does that tell you about our product?
It's good quality product.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called an inelastic product. What that means is that the demand for our product never fluctuates no matter the state of the economy. As long as people are eating food, they need cutlery, cookware, and flatware, right?
Right.
We split the company up into 6 different regions. We're part of the lime green section in the Northeast region. and each region has its own divisions. The Northeast region has 7 divisions, ours being the North Jersey, South New York division. Includes offices such as Morris County, Bergen County, Passaic County, Hunterdon County, Lower Westchester, Rockland County, things like that. And as you can see from that top row, a lot of young faces there.
Right.
Before I go into why do you think most large-scale corporations that do hundreds of millions of dollars a year choose not to work with young people?
Wait, choose not?
Choose not to.
I guess because they're lazy, probably.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we all know the story of, young people being lazy, inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard being a young person to get a good job because you have no experience, but you have no experience because you can't get a good job. So kind of a catch-22 there.
Yeah.
The actual number one reason why most companies choose not to work with young people is because it's so expensive to train them. And it doesn't really make much sense for like a large-scale corporation to train somebody who can't work Monday through Friday 9 to 5.
Right.
I mean, as a college student, there's classes in the morning, classes at night, classes on different days.
Yeah.
So with our flexible opportunity, students can work around classes, commitments, family obligations, really anything. So we like working with young people. It's also the future growth of our organization. If we can work with a student before anybody else does, it allows our organization to grow while we help the student grow. Now, we pay out $55,000 a year to 100 qualified scholarship winners on an annual basis. And our training was put together by an academic advisory board of university and college professors. They actually teach our training at LSU, Purdue, NC State, Chapman State, and even Calgary up in Canada as an accredited course. Our programs have been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, Entrepreneur.com, Strategies and News, Success Magazine, as one of the best places for a young person to gain real-world professional experience. Most students in my organization are going to learn great communication skills, whether it's written or verbal, great time management skills, great problem-solving skills, just to name a few. Now, if you Google what do employers look for in college grads, those happen to also be the top 4 things that most employers look for. The students also have an opportunity to earn a letter of recommendation from the president of the company once they reach a certain distinction. Okay? It says any individual within this organization that achieves this distinction is highly motivated and talented. Direct sales has long been a proving ground for successful people from all walks of life. And then it's signed by the president of the company. But of course, we like to have fun here. So we do team night outs, team activities, barbecues. I know it says like softball, basketball, football. Some students will want to get the whole team together or get some parts of the team together and go play sports. But when it comes to the whole team playing a sport, we typically do a lot of bowling because everybody sucks at bowling. So it's a nice even playing field. But students are going to get some really rewarding friendships here. So I want to show you one of our products. Do either of you happen to have a penny? Penny 1 cent? If not, I can find one. Can you shut the Alexa off, please? Can you turn the volume down? The radio, please. Dime works. Thank you, sir. I'll pay you back, man. You on Venmo? Here. What are these called?
Scissors.
Scissors. Yeah, these are good for paper, plastic, fabric, linoleum, tile, hard metals, soft metals. Great for the kitchen, the garage, really just about anything. Now they come part for easy cleaning. Customers put them right into the dishwasher, and they cut absolutely everything except people. Now, a quill, how do you think our customers react to that?
Amazed.
Yeah. Well, what impressed you more? The way that I described the scissors or the fact that I actually just cut a penny with a pair of scissors?
Oh, actually.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the compliment. But if you had to pick one, which one would it be?
Honestly, I've never seen this happen in my life.
Right. So I'm pretty cool, but Cutco's way cooler. Now, our products sell themselves. I want to be very clear here. This is why I can work with inexperienced high school and college students, because I don't need smooth, slick-talking salespeople. I'm just looking for fun-friendly people that are low-key, confident, can show a really great product, and I like people that are competitive as well.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, we walk all of our customers through an informational presentation. So, we go through the background of the company. And we go through the disadvantages of knives that they would get at like Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart, Kmart, Macy's, Target. Kind of looks like this knife. Does this look familiar? Right? Or maybe even in the photo, like had you get a picture of the drawer in my house, right? Yeah. So these are knives that someone would get at like Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart, Kmart, Macy's. You all right there, man? Oh, can't get them back together?
Yeah.
I'll take care of it, no worries. So we highlight all the problems, and then we show them the solution. Solution being Cutco, obviously. So this is Cutco, okay? And if you hold that like you're about to cut something, how does that feel in your hand,
Feels great. The grip
Yeah.
is awesome.
right?
Yeah.
Now, Paul, that handle material is called thermoresin. It's the same stuff they use in professional bowling balls and football helmets. Doesn't chip, crack, break, melt, splinter, fade, or stain. And also doesn't absorb any grease, odors, or bacteria, allowing our products to be put right into the dishwasher. Have either of you ever like cut with a knife and like the blade's wobbling out of the handle? You know what I'm talking about? Like a wobbly blade and a knife?
Not really.
Yeah, to be honest, I never had.
Well, that's great that you never have, but you understand what I'm talking about,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
blades can loosen.
Yeah.
So in our knives with our handles, they're held together by 3 silver nickel alloy rivets, which are the same rivets that they use in jet engines. So our knives never pop out or wobble. The steel that we use is a 440A high carbon surgical grade stainless steel. It's the same grade of steel they use to build bridges with, but also in surgical tools.
Oh wow.
But the most important part about a knife is not necessarily what it's made out of, but how does it cut? So we do a cutting demonstration, and I don't think our customers cook their meat this tough, but it gives a really good resemblance. So we like to cut up leather because it resembles like tough meats and fibrous vegetables, but it doesn't harm the customer's knives or ours. So Aquil, what I want you to do, go ahead, this is one of our competitors, it's called Farberware. Just go ahead and saw right through the leather for me. You don't need to hold it, man, I got it. Go ahead, all the way through. I don't want you to accidentally cut yourself. There you go, all the way through. Feels like really ripping and tearing. You can kind of feel it pulling all the way through. Good work. Yep, there it is. Good job. Okay, now with Cutco, same thing. Here, I'll hold it.
Look how easy that is.
Totally different, right?
Yeah.
Now, which one was easier, Quill?
Honestly,
Cutco, right? So the first one that you used was called the serrated edge. With this serrated edge, what does the cutting is all the pointy parts down here. Over time, that's going to drag across a cutting board or a plate. And that's what dulls down a knife. Like a tomato doesn't dull a knife. But once that hits a cutting board or a plate enough times, it dulls down the edge. And then when that knife goes dull, it can never be resharpened. So customers have to throw them away and go out and buy another knife. With Cutco, we have something called the double D edge or the double durability edge, where what does the cutting is actually in between the teeth are 3 straight edges. One that cuts forwards, one that cuts backwards, one that cuts straight down. So there's 3 times the surface area for cutting. Now, when that hits a cutting board or a plate, because the teeth don't do any of the cutting, it actually protects what does the cutting. That allows our knife to stay sharper longer than any other knife. In fact, that knife will stay that sharp if used properly for 10 to 15 years. And over time, these are eventually going to erode away. That's physics. When that happens, unlike a serrated edge, which can never be resharpened, Cutco can be. And that's why we're guaranteed for forever. If anything ever happens to our customer's Cutco, it ever chips, cracks, breaks, melts, splinters, fades, stains, anything ever goes wrong with it, we replace it for free. If it ever needs to be resharpened or repaired, we do that for free as well. And we also have a 15-day unconditional money-back guarantee, allowing our customers to try out any amount of Cutco that they want, risk-free. So that's the presentation. After we present the product, we just take them shopping. We talk about what the different knives do, right? Make sure that they can see which ones they like. They can get whole sets like this, and they come in different colors to match different kitchens. We also have larger set options for people who love to cook and entertain, but we also have smaller set options for people who like, I don't know, have to cook, right? Maybe they don't really even like cooking. We also have smaller sets for maybe they do more cutting than cooking. And if they don't want to get a prepackaged set, they can always just mix and match and pick out whatever pieces they want. We also have cookware, we have flatware, we have steak knife sets, table knife sets, we have gift sets, gadgets, wine openers, gardening tools, barbecue tools, pocket knives, hunting knives, fishing knives, and of course gift sets. Okay? We have over 200 items. And Paul, with over 200 items, do you think it's hard or relatively easy for our customers to find at least one thing that they like? Easy. That's why 60% of the customers that we sit down with will actually purchase Cutco.
Yeah, because they have options.
Right. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter what the order is. Now, some orders are $80, $90, or $100. Other orders can be $400, $500, $600. We've had orders over $1,000. We've had orders over $2,000. But the average amount of Cutco purchased is $250. Now, we're a really well-known brand. We're the #1 most sold set of houseware products in North America. We've been featured on TV shows such as Modern Marvels, Made in America. We're also rated Consumers Digest Best Buy. Now, like I mentioned, our prices are pretty affordable,
Yeah.
right? So we have very competitive pricing for the marketplace. And the reason being is because we're factory direct. So Cutco makes everything in Olean, New York, and then they ship it directly to the front door of the customer. Cutting out who?
The postal office, right? I don't know.
Well, they still got to use the delivery service. But who are they cutting out? By delivering it directly to the front door of the customer. The middleman, so storefronts or
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah.
This means nobody else makes a profit on our products. This allows us to make our products in America, guarantee them for forever, and use the highest quality materials in the industry while still having a great price point. Now, customers don't even need to pay for it all at once. We have interest-free investment options called our 5-Pay program where they can split it up over 2, 3, or 5 months interest-free. So if they split this up over 5 months, that would only be $50 a month. Now, with our price point of only $50 a month, do you think we need to use high-pressure sales tactics to create orders?
No.
No. That's why we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau of America, because we don't pressure our customers to buy.
Right. Okay.
Now, let's talk about who our customers are. Customers are married, middle-aged, middle class. Married people typically cook more than your average single bachelor or bachelorette, so they're our target market. Middle-aged is the age range between 30 and 65. Anybody under 30 is planning their next trip to Coachella. And anyone over 65 is like retired, fixed income, they're not really cooking. And middle class is just the largest group of Americans. So if this is our target market, what's the advantage of being in the Westchester County area?
A lot of middle class and high class.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of people too.
Yeah.
You know, there's over 1 million homes in Westchester County, right?
Yeah.
You guys notice that there's traffic all the time?
Yeah. Always.
So we're not running out of customers anytime soon.
Right.
And you mentioned it before, Quill, a lot of high quality customers, right? There's a really high cost of living in Westchester County. So what does that tell you about the people that live here?
Money.
They have money,
You can
right?
afford it, yeah.
Now listen, $50 a month. Nobody needs to be like rich to afford Cutco.
Right.
But hey, definitely doesn't hurt that people in Westchester County have a little bit more discretionary income. Now, we start all of our representatives after Christmas. So I'm hiring for the winter break program. And because of finals and things like that, a lot of my students don't mind starting after finals, you know, and realistically, there's 2 reasons why we start after Christmas. So the first one is before Christmas, everybody's buying gifts for everybody else. But after Christmas, who's everybody buying gifts for?
Family.
Themselves.
Themselves, right? Everyone wants to get themselves a little something, right? They're like, took care of everybody else, let me take care of me now.
Right.
And around Christmas time, there's Christmas bonuses, holiday bonuses. Sometimes they get dividends on investments or year-end bonuses. Sometimes they file their taxes early. They get their tax refunds back early. And, you know, adults want to use those things on home improvements, those lump sum paychecks on large improvements to the home. And Cutco fits right into that bill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just to put in perspective on how much better it is to start in January than in December, our office will do about $40,000 to $50,000 in sales in December. We're going to do almost $200,000 in sales in January. Now, I want to talk about how we market to our customers. We only use the most effective form of advertising out there. So, do either of you know what that is?
The most effective?
Yeah,
Is it the radio?
that's a good guess, not what I'm looking for.
Commercial?
Another good guess. I'll give you a hint. We don't spend any money on billboards, TV ads, commercials, or social media.
I think it was social media.
Have either of you heard of the phrase word of mouth advertising? Or friends telling friends?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, do that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Now, why would friends telling friends be the most effective form of advertising?
Because one friend's gonna tell one friend, and the other friend's gonna tell another friend, and they're gonna tell another friend.
Right. And do we trust our friends more than billboards, TV ads, commercials, or what we read on the internet?
Sure.
For sure. So what does this mean? Well, at the end of every presentation, what all of our representatives do is they just simply ask the customer, hey, who else do you know that may be interested in taking a look at a product like this? Now, it's cutlery, cookware, and flour. It's not a new concept to anybody. So it's pretty easy for them to think of at least 5 referrals. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people are going to recommend 2 or 3. Others might recommend 10, 11, or 12. but on average we generate 5. One that eats, one that fishes, one that hunts, one that barbecues. Maybe they know 2 people who eat food, right? Pretty easy for them to think of 5. So let's take Stacy Barton, for instance. Let's say Stacy does the first 3 presentations of the day, or essentially works the first 3 hours of the day. On average, she's going to generate 5 referrals each, giving her 15 more names and numbers to call to continue to set up appointments. Now, we train all of our representatives to wait 24 to 48 hours before ever reaching out to any of these referrals. That way, the customer can send a heads-up phone call, text message, or email, letting them know who Stacy is, what product she's showing. So that way, when she gives them a call, it's like, hey, this is Stacy Barton. I was overseeing your friend, Miss Jones. They're like, oh, you're the college girl that cuts the penny. Because everybody remembers the penny.
Yeah.
Right? Now, even though we get a warm, friendly introduction, do you think everyone's like, oh, yeah, sure, Stacy, come on over? No, not everybody. But typically half the people that we're referred to will agree to see the product. But if they're agreeing to see the product, what does that tell you about them?
They're interested.
They're at least a little bit interested. And this is why 60% of the people that we sit down with will typically purchase the product. So we only have our representatives sitting down with people that have already agreed that they would want to see the product in the first place. By doing it this way, it completely removes any need for cold calling or door knocking. So just to be very clear, we do not do cold calling, and there is no door knocking. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Now, our representatives will grow their business through referrals. Now, she does those 7 appointments, on average gets 5. Now she's got 35 referrals. If half agree to see the product, that's 17. Now, Stacy's one of our top reps, but nobody works a 17-hour day. She'll set them up for 2, 3, 4, 5 days in advance. And that way she's only spending maybe 10 to 15% of her time scheduling the appointments. The other 90% of her time is spent with the customer having fun writing up orders. Now 17 times 5 is 85. If half agree to see a product, that's 40. Times 5 is 200. If half agree to see a product, that's 100. Times 5, and we're at 500. So it eventually becomes impossible for our representatives to reach out to everyone they've been recommended to in just one day. So it's what we call a self-perpetuating program. Now, our representatives mainly do appointments in the areas that they're local to.
Okay.
So for instance, I live in White Plains. So if I saw Bob and Karen and they lived in White Plains, where do you think all their recommendations are going to live? Probably White Plains. Now, I may get a recommendation like Ardsley or Hartsdale or Bronxville or Mount Kisco, and I could go because I'm not limited to a territory. But if I didn't want to, I didn't have to. So some of our representatives don't mind the 10 or 15-minute drive. Other representatives just want to work in like a 1 to 3 square mile radius of their house. Makes no difference to me. There's no territories. And because our representatives are responsible for scheduling their own appointments, this allows them to work around any classes, commitments, or family obligations that they may have. Now, we sit down once a week with all of our representatives, and we agree upon a time. That way there's, on their work times, that way there's never any question on when a representative's working or not.
Okay.
Students can work all different types of schedules. They can work full-time, they can work part-time. You could replace the word class with part-time job. Or if they're at work all day and they just want to work nights and weekends to pick up some extra cash, they can do that too. Now let's talk about how the pay works. Because representatives do get paid to show the product regardless of the outcome. So here's how the pay works. $18 base per appointment, or as I'd say, per hour per presentation. Takes about an hour to do everything. 20 to 30 minutes to do the appointment. But 10 to 15 minutes to get to know the customer, 10 to 15 minutes to write up an order, 10 to 15 minutes to gather referrals. So we just compensate our representatives for the full hour. So let's say Johnny Rep does 20 appointments in a week, or essentially works 20 hours that week. Johnny's now guaranteed $360 in income, provided he's seeing the right customers. We're not going to pay somebody to hang out with their 12-year-old little brother. So they've got to be seeing people over the age of 30, working full-time, and it's got to be done one-on-one. Now, if we're showing kitchen cutlery, where's the most effective place to show it?
In the kitchen.
Exactly. That way the customer can compare their stuff to ours and realize like how bad their stuff actually is. Now, we also have an incentive, or you could use the word commission. It really makes no difference to me. It's an opportunity for our representatives to earn a percentage of what a customer decides to buy from them. Okay? And we pay either or, whichever is greater, not both. All my representatives, when they're first getting started, start off at 10%. 10% of an average order is $25. So if a brand new rep got just an average size order, they would earn the $25, not the $18, because 25 is greater than 18. Once a representative accumulates $1,000 in total customer orders, they're going to get a pay raise from 10 to 15%. At 15%, they get a that same size order of $250 would yield $37.50. Students can also earn pay raises up to 20, 25, and even 30%. At 30%, an average size order of $250 yields $75. So the base pay is a great floor to stand on, but the incentive pay allows for no ceiling to the income. It makes sense that as a representative continues to work here and gets better at the job, they deserve to be paid more. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Now, how do we know whether to pay base or incentive pay? Well, it's all predicated on weekly totals. So in this example, this representative did 10 appointments, so they'd be guaranteed $180. But their commissions that week came out to $275, so we would pay them the $275 for the week, not the $180. On the other hand, in example B, would this representative earn base or incentive pay?
Base.
Base. This is why we have a base pay, just in case somebody has an off week. And we can't guess how many representatives or how many presentations a representative completed, so they have to complete a weekly presentation report, which is signed by the customer. We pay our representatives weekly. Has anybody here ever gotten paid bi-weekly? Like every other week? Yeah, it's the worst, right? Yeah. Now we have no quotas, so representatives aren't required to sell a certain amount of Cutco each week. However, we do have a minimum standard of work ethic of 7 appointments per week. Okay. Now the promotions are all predicated on a student's work ethic and schedule. Okay. Let me show you. We'll just use this as an example. To go from 10 to 15%, it's $1,000 in total customer orders. Doesn't matter how they got there, by the way. Okay, it could be 4 orders of 400. Doesn't really matter. Now let's just use 250 as the average size order. That means that it typically takes 4 orders to hit the first promotion. Now, if 60% of people purchase Cutco, that means that it typically takes 7 appointments to get 4 orders. That's why this is our minimum standard of work ethic per week. Most representatives are going to hit $1,000 in sales per week just based on the numbers and their schedule. Now we have sub-representatives that have a much more open schedule, and they'll do 14, 21 appointments. And of course, they'll hit multiples of this number. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
By the way, most people hit their first promotion their first weekend. It's pretty standard in the organization. But I've never had a representative who had like maybe a little bit of a busier schedule and they did it in their first 5 days. I've never had anyone complain like, oh, I got a 50% pay raise my 6th day on the job. It's the worst, right? Now let's talk about training, because I take a lot of pride in the level of training that our representatives receive. First is the initial training seminar. Now I run that here in the office that's held with me and the rest of the management staff. I teach 3 things: how to communicate effectively with people, so communication skills, how to establish rapport, social etiquette, things like that. Next is how to show and demonstrate all the products, answer any questions about them, and explain the products in full and demonstrate them. Third is all of our programs: how to effectively schedule an appointment, how to complete an appointment, and how to gather referrals. So we teach our representatives everything they need to know in one basic training seminar. Now, like I mentioned before, our training seminar was put together by an academic advisory board of university and college professors. They teach our training at LSU, Purdue, NC State, Chapman State, and even Calgary up in Canada as an accredited course. But unlike those college courses, we do not charge for training. However, like I mentioned before, it is really expensive to train people, so we don't pay for training either. But after the 3rd session of training, our representatives are then thrown on the payroll, and they start off by doing paid practice appointments. And when I heard, oh, you're going to pay me to practice, like, I'm going to practice a lot. So some of my representatives practice, a bunch, kind of like myself. We have our representatives do paid practice appointments with people that they know, because they don't feel any pressure to be perfect in front of them. So what's most popular, but definitely not required, is like mom and dad, aunts and uncles, a few friends' parents, maybe some parents' friends, right? Maybe some neighbors. Like my first presentation ever was like my mom. I went home, I was like, all right, Mom, let's do this. Sat down, a cut leather, a penny, I showed her the whole presentation, and at the end, what do you think happened?
She what?
Well, she's a good mom, right?
Yeah.
Now she's like Cutco Nutso, by the way. She's had the products now for 7.5 years. She absolutely loves them and has almost everything in the Blue Book. But immediately afterwards, I saw my aunt, went over there, cut rope leather penny, showed her the whole thing. What do you think happened? Nah, she didn't. But I set you up, yeah. She actually didn't buy anything. But I got paid $18 to hang out with my aunt and cut a penny. And after 3 years of stacking cans at ShopRite for $8 an hour, that definitely didn't suck. Plus, she gave me 6 referrals, so I had 6 more friendly introductions and plenty of people to continue to go see. You know, it'd be pretty awkward to do a knife presentation for a total stranger after only 3 days on the job. So that's why our representatives actually feel more comfortable showing people that they know. Now, after the initial practice appointments, they're going to come in for advanced training. We're not the type of organization to just throw people out to the wind and say, all right, see you later, good luck. We like to bring them back in, and we have consistent consistent coaching. We also have weekly team meetings, and rather than having our representatives drive to and from the office for every single one of their appointments, they can just simply check in and out over the phone. Okay? Now, some perks, last slide here. We loan out $450 worth of Cutco for free to all of our representatives. That way they have product on hand to show and demonstrate to their customers. And at the end of the winter break, or at the end of a representative's time here, they just simply check the sample kit back into the office. It's kind of like a library book. We have fun, friendly people here. I firmly believe that we have the coolest team in the company, but I'm a little biased. It's my team, but we're pretty cool. Pay is great, $18 base per appointment floor to stand on, but the incentive pay allows for no ceiling to the income. And with the room for advancement, I'm always looking for that next wave of leadership because I'm promoting students to go run their own office next summer. So I need that next wave of leadership. And people who live locally all year round during the spring and the fall typically have an advantage over those that go away for the spring and the fall semester. The experience is unparalleled. See, a lot of students will confuse time with experience. Like at ShopRite, I was working 30 hours a week, but I wasn't getting 30 hours a week of experience. I mean, how many ways can I stack a can, right? But here, every hour was different. Every customer was different. I was always learning and growing, learning new things, how to work with different personality types, new time management, setting new goals, hitting new goals. And of course, the team atmosphere. It's unparalleled. I loved having a team. This job always reminded me of sports, and I could have a group of individuals that I could, enjoy the job with. So I do love having the team. So at this point, I'm going to have you both fill out what's called an acceptance criteria sheet. It's just 7 yes or no questions, 3 open-ended questions. And on the back is a unique opportunity where you can actually recommend a few friends to the position. Now, I do this for a few reasons. Number one, it's a little bit near and dear to my heart, so I heard about the job. Number two, what type of environment do you think that allows me to create if everyone's working with a few of their friends?
A very friendly environment.
Yeah, really friendly environment, right? And I think our representatives feel a little bit more comfortable when they have some friends on the team. I also like to think that it creates like a friendly competitive atmosphere because everyone wants to see their friends do well, but like never better than them. Right. And the last reason is because this allows me to see who's serious about the position, right? So it's an invitation, not an obligation, but it's a strong invitation. The people that really want to stand out in the interview will just put down their top 10 to 15. And the people that really want to crush it and really want to stand out as like, I'm really excited about the position, we'll just put down 15 to 20, okay? So feel free to jump back over into the main rooms. Take your time filling this out. I'm going to sit down with both of you individually in about 5 to 10 minutes, so take your time.